He is the most thoughtful person in the family center. The reason why he was able to do it when Dwojan's life was in crisis. The reason for arriving in time. It was because he noticed how handsome. Strange look recently. Quietly followed Dwojan and the others. Also put the Haiguang members in the deep mountains. Solve them one by one. Finally, find the sound of the car roaring. Found Dwojan here. He asked Dwojan what had happened. Dwojan also repeated the matter to him one by one. Then Dwojan asked Hanji, "Is there any sign of Haiguang?" After hearing him say, "I haven't seen it," Dwojan stood there straight away. He pinched Haiguang's face. He asked him fiercely about Peigang. Happy with their whereabouts, but he also explained that he didn't know. Just follow Pei Gangle's orders. Bury them. On the side, Hanji heard Pei Gangle's name. His face changed instantly. He buttoned his forehead and became distressed. Then he went forward to warn Haiguang's men. Let him hide. What a handsome thing. The one who told Pei Gang had buried Dwojan. The subordinates are still afraid to shirk. It means that if Pei Gang knew, he will die too. But Hanji kicked them into a big pit with one kick. Hanji cast a shovel and looked at them fiercely. You are afraid of him. Aren't you afraid that I'll catch Hanji? Dwojan froze in place. He doesn't know why Hanji did this. Is he afraid? After Hanji and the three came down from the mountain forest, and Huan was very excited to take a photo with Hanji and had him sign his name on his hand. Dwojan suddenly spoke to Hanji. If he wanted to help Huan save his father, he must defeat Pei Gangle. He hoped that Hanji could help him. Hanji put his hand on Dwojan's shoulder. Take him to the side. His expression suddenly became very serious. Don't provoke Pei Gang anymore. Hanji told him to stop worrying about people changing. Duo Jun looked puzzled. Mingming accompanies Gangle. It's a small case for Hanji. Hanji also showed hatred and helplessness. I can't touch Pei Gang anymore. If I did move him. This is not a personal grudge. Hearing this, Dwojan also became nervous. If Hanji doesn't help him, he didn't know what to do. Hanji went on to tell him, the world will not take your compassion seriously. But this sentence made Dwojan think. He suddenly looked up and asked Hanji, then why did you help me in the first place? Is it any different if I hang out with people? Hearing such a question, Hanji was also stunned. He finally laughed helplessly. Hanji put his hands on his head and turned his back carelessly. Then do as you please. But we agreed. I'm not involved in this. The next day, Dwojan stood alone on the balcony, thinking. He knows the prerequisites for solving this matter. He must be able to defeat Pei Gangle. But when he remembered last night, the appearance of being crushed by Pei Gangle's strength, he felt like he really had no chance of winning. After thinking for a moment, Dwojan remembered another thing. He didn't understand why Pei Gangle knew. They hid in that place. It was prepared in advance. Just then, Dwojan's cell phone rang. The other half of the phone is Chen Hao, who has just been discharged from the hospital. He listens, said how handsome. They almost had a big accident. That's why I called, to express my condolences. Dwojan also told Chen Hao seriously, don't get involved in this anymore. Otherwise, it will really be life-threatening. Chen Hao said he has recovered. No matter what, I still want to help people change their songs. When Dwojan still wants to dissuade, Kanazawa suddenly appeared behind him. Dwojan told Chen Hao to meet again. Then quickly hung up the phone. Kanazawa stepped forward and asked who he was calling. Dwojan's guilty explanation. It's talking to people who work with you. Kanazawa's tone became low. Really? Suddenly, he threw a punch at Dwojan. Dwojan clutched his aching arm. I asked Kanazawa why this was, and hit him with his broken arm. Kanazawa swayed his plaster arm. I heard you want to fight with Haiguang's cadres. Kanazawa looked at Duo Jun seriously. Haiguang, forget it. But Haiguang's cadres are completely different. If you want to talk to Haiguang cadre, eligibility to fight, then you have to at least fight first. I'm a patient with a broken arm. Duojin was stunned in place. No, that's not enough. At this moment, other than Hanji, members of the Hanji family, they all came to Duojin. You have to at least beat us first. Heaven will never fail one. People who work hard. The boy seeks revenge on those who once bullied him. Push-ups will make your hands and feet soft. Keep at it. Every morning before the sun rises, his running figure will appear on the street on time. And he spends all day, almost all spent on punching practice in sandbags. How handsome now. Finally, he stood in front of the person who had bullied him. He finally succeeded in defeating him. But it was seized by a chance. Lock it directly with the ground. And this blow, it is very likely that his neck will be twisted directly. Members of the Hanji family watched this scene. They are all extremely nervous. Only Hanji always acted calm. He remembered how handsome he was training on the balcony. When fighting skills, it was just for him to practice the speed of his punches. But what Duojin paid attention to was Hanji's feet. He took the opportunity to step on Hanji's foot. And he was also trampled and couldn't retreat. Duojin clenched his fists and was about to swing at him. As a result, although Duojin fell to the ground, but Hanji looked at him in disbelief. How handsome he was at that moment, forced to use full force. At this moment, Duojin's arm was already twisted and clicked. It rang, and his expression was also extremely painful. At best, they are extremely worried. Dahua is not. But he knew that if they did, that means Duojin is going to lose. But when he looked at Hanji beside him, his face is incomparably confident. Only Hanji knows. There are too many possibilities for Duojin. At this moment, a flower is also ready to use all its strength. Ready to get to know Duojin. At this critical moment, Duo Junqiang endured the stinging moment. The legs suddenly kicked to the ground. Instantly turn over and jump to the other side. Under a look of shock, Duojin actually successfully flipped it over. Got rid of a flower's ground lock. Duojin got up. It directly shook his wrist. Not waiting for a flower to get up and react, Duojin went up and did the previous one to him. Duo used a flying kick on him. The situation turned around in an instant. Duojin doesn't give a chance to get it at all. Facing him, it is a violent output. But the younger brother on the side actually had no martial arts ethics. Suddenly kicked towards Duojin. Dahua and the others, who were already very nervous, seeing Duojin being bullied, just rushed over. Grind. Pressure to teach this group of punks a lesson. And Duojin was also besieged by two people at the moment. Suddenly, a pair of Hong Kong feet walking on flip-flops slammed it over a person's face. The little brother, who fell to the ground, looked at him puzzled. Why is that? I'm helping you. And the owner of Hong Kong's feet is also a... But his face turned completely black. You guys. Did I let you do it? Isn't that embarrassing, me? You don't really think I'm going to lose to him, do you? Take it and put it down. He came directly to Duojin. He laughed even more impudently. If you were taken down by me this time, don't even think about eating with your hands in the future. Say, a grab is one leg. Kick directly at Duojin. Then countless fists followed. But they were all blocked by Duojin's fist. One flower is also like being carried away by anger. Endless venting his angry fists. But Duojin has always been calm. After blocking his attack, Duojin punched directly. I waved it in his face. And from this moment on, how handsome. It's like a complete capture of the attack. Average rhythm. Lower body dodge to keep up with the liver punch. One grab completely entered the passive. When he looked to the side, the younger brothers looked at him with incomparable contempt. All the faces were gloomy. It's like looking down on him. Yu Duo also panicked at the moment. For him, no matter how good his fighting skills are, it's meaningless without the following of the younger brothers. A lost flower. He clenched his fists and rushed towards Duojin. I will never allow a fool like you. Shake my position. But his anger didn't change anything. Duojin is directly a punch one step ahead of him, and swung it in his face. Both of them are not convinced by anyone. They all have reasons why they can't lose. Do your best to win this battle. Kanazawa and the others were all surprised at the moment. He asked Hanji Duojin when it was open to reach this level. But Hanji was also speechless. And I taught him the basics. The reason why he can progress, because he is better than the average person. Instinctive reactions are faster. Hanji also talked about how Duojin has changed all the time. Pace movement and correct punching. It's very easy to learn. But Ju Jun didn't learn for long. You will learn and apply it in actual combat. His performance. It was also earlier than I imagined. I wasn't sure at first. But I'm sure now. He was born with a gift for this. Guo Jun, at this moment, he used the trick against Hanji again. After stepping on the foot, he threw a big fist over it. Although he will still receive a flower. Violent attack. But Duojin's brain is so calm. Stay awake. He knew he had to find a way to win. Just when a flower is ready to attack Duojin, Duo Jun's pupils suddenly lit up. It's like I realized something. His ankle suddenly turned backwards. The little brothers on the side, and the members of the Hanji family were all shocked. Duojin not only dodged Yibo's punch with his back, and then explosions with the help of waist rotation. Extremely explosive punch. Suddenly, he waved it in Yibo's face. Hanji's expression also changed quietly. Duojin's innate fighting talent, and the determination to take revenge. This kid will definitely become a scary guy. Ren Duojin was bullied by a school bully. The poor boy who was abandoned by his family. But he can get Hanji. The recognition of various members of the family. His strength may not be far behind them yet. But on persistence and hard work, Ren Duojin will definitely be able to rank among them. And the only one who can understand him, only the eldest brother of the Hanji family, Zhao Hanji. His power is also the ceiling of the entire comic book, level of existence. And what really made Hanji see how handsome? It was also him and Zhu, the boss of Zhonglin School. A battle of flowers, how handsome. It shows the reaction speed of his deputy class that day. He caught a flaw in a flower. Subconsciously anticipating. Instantly hide from a fist. Backhand, a 100% needle-carrying fist. Finally, he was connected with an extremely explosive uppercut fist. Duojin successfully counterattacked. Blade, the revenge that once bullied him. One of the objects. After that, Duojin not only did not slack off, what accompanies him is the more he treats himself. Stringent requirements. And his body is moving at a visible speed. Get stronger and stronger. At his part-time pizza place. When he encounters unreasonable guests. How handsome. His eyes will become cold. Very polite to ask them out with a big fist. Because this is Hanji now, the family's sphere of influence. How handsome. Communicating with members before has also become more integrated. Hook up. At first, I knelt in fear. How handsome. He fell in front of Dahua. Now, he has completely become a good brother with him. Hanji has also changed the way he used to love to show off. Seriously taught Duojin more fighting skills. How handsome. It's also because of his innate ability to react. Rapid growth. Let Hanji sometimes have to take it seriously. Use your hands to deal with Duo Jun's moves. After the training is completed, Hanji looked at him with confidence. Should we get started? Duojin also understood it immediately. It also shows a very confident expression. Revenge. The other side. In a small ward. The sound of the heart rhythm machine sounded low. The one in the hospital bed was in a coma for a long time. Weak man. Suddenly opened my eyes. And it is the culprit who has been bullying Duojin in school. When Li Daoyu was bullying Duojin, but was accidentally pushed to speed in front of a moving car. He was in a coma in the hospital for several months. I'm finally awake now. And there are only 2 words in his mind now. Revenge. The next day. Road. Yun limps to his former subordinate. But their expressions of disgust, they all hung on their faces unabashedly. Dao Yun grabbed one of the younger brothers. Yelled at him. I look like a bully now. Is that right? Shut your stinky mouth now. Come with me and beat up Ren Dwajan. The annoyed little brother, who was provoked, just threw it casually. Directly put, the once powerful Tao. The cloud fell to the ground, and mocked him for having a limp leg. It's better to live peacefully. With the former school bully, the last trace of dignity, Dao Yun limped and turned away. The other side, Dwajan is now giving rein to a man in front of Zhonglan. Smile. Umbrella. I also followed a foodie who wanted to mix pizza with Hanji. And a figure in a black coat appeared behind them. The man in black is Dao Yun, his little brother. Look at his lonely figure. Or did you tell him how handsome he was? Things that often appear near Zhonglan school. Dao Yun was also very happy to think of Zhu Yitu. Thought revenge was possible. But the younger brother also said how handsome he defeated one thing. And he disappeared after that. Dao Yunkai doesn't believe it. That incomparably powerful Yuduo brother will lose to Duo Jun. He frantically dialed the number. But no matter how many hits, it shows no answer. Dao Yun could only follow Dwajan and the others with a limp. I want to solve it by myself. And how handsome they also happen to be. Met a bunch of thugs who were bullying people. 1. The man with the lid who didn't know whether to live or die, came up to Hanji. The taunt is followed by a punch at him. Hanji punched him in the face with his backhand. Dwajan, 2 of us each. Dwajan also instantly put on a fighting stance. And Hanji easily taught the mixed. The truth of being a man. One of them, Kunzi, recognized Hanji. In an instant, he fled in a panic. And Dae-yoon, who was watching from a distance, but completely panicked. He couldn't believe that Dwajan had become so powerful. Dao Yun's heart began to panic. His hands were shaking. He actually felt the fear from Dwajan. There is nothing that he bullied before. Ren who fights back. Dwajan Dae-yoon froze in place. The strength of Dwajan made him give up. The idea of hatred. Suddenly, a hand was placed on his shoulder. A man in a pink sweater picked on him. Not waiting for Dae-yoon to react, he slapped him in the face. The man in pink chewed on the popsicle and blackmailed him. After all, he used to be loyal to the big. Dao Yun swung his backhand back with one punch. But now, he is limping due to a car accident. How could he be the opponent of everyone? After a while, he was stepped under the feet of the man in pink. He also threw the leftover ice cream in front of him. Let him eat it. Dao Yun looked at the ice cream on the ground in disbelief. And the man in pink just pressed his head down hard. Bullied a lot in the past. Jun's memory kept lingering in his mind. Flash. How handsome he was now. Almost no difference. And his mouth is away from the ice cream. Already close at hand. But suddenly, there was a crack next to him. The companion of the man in pink was knocked over and fell to the ground. He got up in an instant to teach them a lesson. But it was also sent flying back in an instant. He fell to the ground with a bang. And the voice Ling Dae-yoon didn't want to hear at the moment. But it sounded behind him. The person who helped him was Du Ju. He looked at the man lying on the ground worriedly. Can you get up by yourself? This little fat man is fat because he is fat. Isolated from others since childhood, his classmates often looked down on him. Give him a sympathetic and mocking look. For the little fat man, he was humiliated every day. Finally, he threw a rebuttal fist for the first time. Looking at the boy on the ground with his face bent over, begging for mercy, the little fat man felt down for the first time. See the pleasure of others. He also made up his mind never to let anyone look down on him again. And he is the Li Daoyu who grew up. Be the one who always looks down on others. The school bully who has been bullying Dwajan, but the way of heaven is good for reincarnation. Who has the sky spared? When he bullied Dwajan, was pushed backhand in front of a speeding truck. Dao Yun was also in a coma in the hospital for several months as a result. He finally woke up from the hospital bed, intended to take revenge on Dwajan, but his miserable life had only just begun. Disability from a car accident. Dao Yun could only walk with a limp. When he found the men who had followed him, the look in their eyes, all undisguised on the face, Dae-yoon decided to complete his revenge plan alone. How handsome. He is no longer the bully he used to be. The fool who won't refute. Li Daoyu, who used to be infinitely beautiful, after seeing how powerful he is, he even started shaking all over. The idea of giving up revenge. Turnable head. He was trampled underfoot by the gangsters on the road, forced him to eat the ice cream that was thrown on the ground. Once mighty Li Daoyu. It seems that he has experienced a lot of handsome life. But instead of the gangsters insulting him, more unacceptable things. How handsome. The gangsters who bullied him. She offered him a helping hand. Daeyoon's body began to shrink. Even my hands are shaking. He knew that if he let Dwajin find out who he is, he's going to be beaten pretty bad, pretty bad. Daeyoon got up and walked forward. His heart prayed over and over again, how handsome. Go away. But Dwajin has always been a warm-hearted person. I'm about to come up and help him. Dao Yun was so panicked that he was about to crack open. But suddenly, the raindrops attracted Dwajin's attention. He also took the opportunity to limp forward at a brisk pace. Move it away. Hanji looks at that person's ungrateful appearance, also greeting Dwajin to leave. Daeyoon saw that Dwajin didn't follow. That's a relief. I still think about it later. Just find someone to flatten Dwajin Kwang. Comfort yourself that you don't have to grieve for your current incompetence. But suddenly, an umbrella covers his head. Dwajin still can't worry about him. I found him an umbrella. Sure enough, it is our silly and warm-hearted Jun. But when he got to Yun's back, he pushed Dwajin away. His hands were still shaking with fear. Dwajin also wanted to tuck the umbrella in his hand into him. But one upset him. Another creepy voice came from the front. I beg you to stay away from me. This sound seemed to touch Dwajin. Hidden memory. He held the umbrella and froze in place. But maybe it's a rainy day, or maybe it's the urging of the cold. Dwajin still sent him away. But this will undoubtedly be the decision he regrets the most. How Jun finally came home. He held a meeting with Hanji. Your fighting class is officially over. Dwajin is also crying tears and happy. And then it's like an award ceremony. Hanji gave Guo Jun his coat of the same style. Kanazawa sighed with tears. Remembering him, once upon a time. Dahua also directly brought up the business. Now, there's only one thing left for how handsome we are. Go to your former context school for revenge. Dwajin was embarrassed to shirk. Means it's his own business. Dahua and the others gathered together in an instant. Are you also a member of our Hanji family? Don't worry, we won't get involved. If you are afraid of a fight, just give us a sign. A crowd gathered around him energized. Dwajin is also for all this now. I'm so happy. Hanji. The family changed his lonely and unfortunate life. Dwajin looked back at them. Thank you very much. I'll pick the day of the showdown soon. Start my new life again. It's raining non-stop outside the Hanji family. But it did not quench the fiery hearts of a group of hot-blooded teenagers. And the diametrically opposite rain. Lonely came to a flyover. There was still resentment in his heart. He was actually pitied by the idiot Jun he used to bully. Thinking about myself. He tripped over his limp leg. The long road fell to the ground in embarrassment. When he was getting up, see his useless legs. I was mocked with pity by my younger brother. Memories of being bullied by random gangsters on the side of the road keep emerging. Do I still have to go back to being fat as a child? Doyen's life in the pig? With that in mind, Doyoon went straight over the railing. Come to the outside of the flyover. He would rather not have woken up from his hospital bed. Or just fall asleep again like before. Daoyu looked at the cars speeding under the bridge. His heart has fallen to the extreme. This is the end. But a bell. Suddenly, it rang from his pocket. The person who called turned out to be Zhu, who had disappeared for a long time. A Daoyu roared at him in anger. Why are you answering the phone now? Do you know how humiliated I have been? By his tone of voice, Duo also knew how handsome he was when he went to the rain area. He comforted him. Don't worry. Brother will solve it for you. It turned out that after being defeated by Duojin, joined Haiguang's organization directly. And they're all a bunch of people who just take the money. You will use force to do things for others. One flower also tells you, just bring the money. You can do whatever you want with Duojin. But what I didn't even expect was that Dao Yu, who knows this way, he went absolutely insane. Since you want, then help me get rid of him. Haiguang, a young man who ran away from home by countless numbers, gathered together, through the underworld form to the block storefront. Vicious organizations that demand protection fees. But a Haiguang cadre named Qian Kixiang. I actually went wild to Hanji, in the neighborhood where the family is located. Finally, by Hanji, the ceiling of combat power in the manga. To avoid overwhelming strength, let him understand a truth, dare to encroach on someone else's sphere of influence. It is necessary to do this well. Preparedness to pay a very serious price. And with the fall of Qian Kixiang, Haiguang around the Hanji family, members have disappeared. But they're like moths. Okay, the scar forgets the pain. Members of Haiguang, he's back on the streets again. They changed their old ways. No more smashing the store, collection of protection fees as a means of profit. Instead, it became as long as the money was collected. Garbage, who will use force to do things for others. Hanji also found signs of activity by members of Haiguang. Tell members of the family to be careful. But if Haiguang and the others dare to provoke, you will definitely have their good juice to eat. How handsome is still the same as every day. Came to the pizza place, he insisted on.